What's going on? It's Kevin with Optimize Essentials, and today I'm going to share with you the real way to fix your forward head posture, right? So a lot of the videos out there do teach pretty good examples or pretty good strategies on how to address your forward head, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper in explaining all of the causations, the causative factors behind why you have forward head. I'm assuming you already know how to assess whether or not you have forward head since you're already on here, but if you don't, your head is coming forward. And if you want a program that can teach you how to assess your own body, make sure you check out my 4-week transformation program at optimizeessentials.com. I kind of go into detail on how to assess your own posture, what stretches to do. It's really good for the average individual who doesn't really have a good understanding of posture and human biomechanics, nutrition, working out. It's a great way to get you started. So you want to make sure you check that out if you have trouble assessing your posture. But assuming that you're here, you probably have an idea that you do have forward head. And today I'm just going to go into all of the details from literally head to toe on why you have forward head and how you can address it, how you can combat it, how you can prevent it from ever coming back again, all right? So optimal alignment of your head is air joint, shoulder joint, humerus. They're nicely stacked upon each other. If you have forward head, that causes a lot of issues, but I'll go into mostly the dangers after I teach you why you have in the first place. So in this video, I'm going to go over the causes of forward head, the dangers behind it, and what you can do to stretch out the muscles, what you can do to strengthen the muscles. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm super excited because I know this is going to help a lot of people because forward head is becoming more prevalent. Not just forward head, but everything within the body being distorted, all the postural issues. It's so crazy, and this is why I'm getting into postural therapy. This is why I study corrective exercise. This is why I'm so passionate about it, because I just love fixing things. I love fixing bodies. I like understanding what's going on. But before I ramble too much about why I love doing this, let's just get started so I can help you, right? So the very first thing you have to understand, yes, rounded shoulders is what contributes to your forward head. The protrusion of your head, the protrusion of your neck. Rounded shoulders will throw your head into that position. So go ahead and stand up and round your shoulders forward, and instantly you can feel the head coming forward. But the next thing I want to get another layer, I want to dig a little bit deeper in and understanding is, well, what causes your shoulders to round forward? Well, what causes your shoulders to round forward is dependent on your pelvis position, how you are sitting, right? So if you're sitting in a posteriorly tilted position, what happens is now your thoracic spine goes into flexion, right? So sits forward, and then that throws your shoulders into an internally rotated position, and then that throws your throws your head forward as well. So pelvis position, thoracic spine, cervical spine, all right? So do you see the chain reflect? It's not just your shoulders that are causing it, it's your pelvis that's causing it. And then now if you want to take it one step deeper, because you've been sitting in such poor positions and assuming that, or if you don't exercise and assuming that you're not physically active and you don't stretch out your calves, well, guess what? Your calves have a direct influence, or it's tied into your kinetic chain. So when you stand, you walk, and your calves are tight, you can have either pronated feet or you can have duck feet where your feet are turned out. Well, you can have duck feet and pronated feet. So now you have this whole dysfunctional chain from the bottom. Like your foot is basically the foundation that you're being supported on. Your pelvis is part of your core foundation as well. Well, in terms of walking, your feet are what is like the foundation on the ground. It's like your base. So if that is off, now you can imagine from head to toe, you're dysfunctional. So basically what happens at the bottom is exacerbating what's happening above, and what's happening above is exacerbating what's happening below. So there's not necessarily to say one causes the other, but one is more responsible than the other. And then once let's say your pelvis position is off, well, that only gets exacerbated by your foot positioning. So your foot position will just magnify your pelvis positioning, and then your thoracic spine and your head, now you're all slumped over and like cringe, and okay. So basically with all that being said, now I want to go quickly into the dangers of forward head, because I don't want to make this video too long. I spent just recently like 45 minutes on the ultimate guide to fixing anterior pelvic tilt, but I'm gonna keep this as short as I can just to give you a basic understanding of how to fix forward head, the causes behind it. So now let's understand the dangers, all right? So what happens when your head tilts forward into this position? Well, if you haven't been stuck in this position because you're young or it's quite new to you, well, the fact that you're looking at this, probably there's a good chance that you've either identified it or you're feeling some symptoms. And you're feeling some symptoms. One of the biggest symptoms is headaches, all right? Headaches, because what happens is your occipital, the suboccipitals are getting pinched backwards, and then this can also put pressure on the occipital nerves, your lobe, occipital lobe, and that can shut off some of the blood flow into your head, and that can cause a lot of tension, a lot of headaches, a lot of tension headaches. And then because that increased pressure, you can also feel a lot of tenseness in the neck, all right? So all these muscles get tight. I'm gonna explain to you all the muscles that are associated with forward head, but right now just know that the muscles in your neck, when they get really tense, you'll feel a lot of stiffness here. And if you carry a lot of stress because you're always tense at work and, oh, I hate this person, I hate that person, and I'm just a victim of the world, and everything is just tight up here. Now you just carry a whole lot of tension. That's why when they say relax, you just drop your shoulder blades and breathe. You know, go ahead and take a deep breath with me, guys. We're happy to be alive. Woo, and then just relax. So all this gets tight, and you feel all this bunch of tense tightness, stress, and it just causes a lot of issues all around that upper body. And then the next thing, when it gets severe, when it gets more extreme and become more chronic, what happens now is you begin to have pinched nerves, all right? There's a syndrome called thoracic outlet, all right? Thoracic outlet syndrome is basically when the position of your neck compresses on your I believe it was this scalene, the nerve, like the scalene gets tight and then it sits on, I forgot exactly what nerve it was. You can look it up, but it compresses that nerve and then you feel this tingling sensation run down your arm and all the way into your pinky. So you definitely don't want to be experiencing that. I know someone who has, and it's not a fun thing to experience. So I also have a client who has like a fused vertebra because of forward head, and I think she believes that she was born that way or that she's had it for a while, but I honestly think it's because she has forward head, and she's not exactly aware of that, but I don't exactly want to, I've told her before, but I don't think she's willing to accept that. And then what's also surprising though is that when she was young, when she was born like 1 or 2 years old, they gave her an ankle bracelet. And guess what an ankle bracelet does? Well, that limits your mobility, your foot mobility, your calves. So if your calf is, if your ankle mobility is dysfunctional and your calves are tight, well, guess what? It distorts your pelvis and it runs up her kinetic chain into your neck. So now she has literally one pelvis that's hiked up a little bit, and then her neck kind of tilts over to one side and one side is more tight. So if you haven't seen my video on the dangers of tight calves and what you can do about it, make sure you check that out, because it's really, really, really important that you stretch out your calves. But basically, with all that being said, there's a lot of issues, right? Pinched nerves, thoracic outlet, carpal tunnel syndrome that has even been shown to be tied into forward head. So now that I've scared you enough, I'm gonna help you out, all right? How can you fix your forward head? Well, the very first thing you want to do is the calf stretch, all right? Yes, a calf stretch for your neck, Now, instead of going into deep detail on all of these stretches that you're going to do, I want you to check out my 4 essential stretches for upright posture. I'm going to teach you how to stretch out your calves in that very first exercise, and basically you just stand on the stairwell and then you let yourself drop there so you can align your body from head to toe for 2 to 3 minutes, all right? So make sure you check that video out. I don't think YouTube allows me to annotate anymore. Just type in 4 essential stretches to for essential stretches for upright posture, and they'll guide you through 4 basic, really essential stretches to really fix your rounded shoulders, your thoracic spine, so that you can promote extension and then also allow you to feel more confident because your shoulders are nice and broad and you're open. All right, and then after that, you want to attack your pelvis. All right, Yes, you want to attack your pelvis. So if you have a posterior pelvic tilt, which is not as common but is definitely common, you want to make sure you check out my posterior pelvic tilt video, which I'll have up shortly if it's not already up. It should be up by the time the future generations have seen it because I haven't gotten to it yet. I've recently created my almost hour-long 45-minute guide to anterior pelvic tilt, which is what I'm going to say next. You want to address your anterior pelvic tilt because if your butt sticks out, well, guess what? Your lumbar erectors shorten, and as a result, that causes your upper back to round because your lats are deeply connected to your pelvis structure, and if you have tight lumbar erectors, well, that'll cause your shoulders to come forward. So if you really look at it, you see people with their butt sticking out, their shoulders rounded forward, and as I mentioned, they look like silverback gorillas, right? So rounded shoulders, butt sticks out. Not exactly exaggerated, but you will see some people like that. So you want to make sure you attack your pelvis. So there's a posterior pelvic tilt, which can do the same. Your butt tucks under. Well, to compensate, your shoulders round forward, and then you have this swayed back, pushed hips extended, rounded shoulder, forward head position. So both of them, posterior and anterior pelvic tilt, can cause forward head. Now, after you attack your pelvis position, you want to make sure you are sitting neutrally. Because if you're not sitting neutrally and you're slumped over, well, guess what? All that goes to waste. If you've been sitting for 8 hours a day, well, guess what? That's gonna, no matter how much you try to fix your pelvis, you're just gonna keep the position exacerbated. So it's really key that you're stretching out your calves so that the whole kinetic chain is being aligned, your pelvis, and then teaching your body how to stabilize itself neutrally. And then after you've done all of that, now I'm going to teach you how to address the neck, all right? Because once you address that, pretty much like 50%, 75% of the battle has been done. Once you've done those, the neck will almost naturally fix itself. But in the situation scenario that you want a little bit more, you want to attack it. Once you layer your attack in this position, in this way, then you'll solve your forward head a lot faster and more efficiently, effectively. So now we want to understand all of the key muscles that are associated with forward head. So there's 4 distinct ones that I want to get into. So the very first one you have to understand is your upper trapezius, all right? Your upper traps will help shrug up your shoulders. Your upper traps, your levator scapula, all of these muscles in the lower base of your neck help contract your neck upwards. And then you also have some muscles in the front. Your sternocleidomastoid is this triangular shaped muscle, and then your scalenus muscles, right? There's different, there's your anterior, medial, posterior scalenes, but I'll teach you how to attack the different angles of it. So the very first stretch that I recommend doing is the upper trap, right? So if you have tight upper traps, simply take your arm and wrap it around your back, all right? So from this angle, it's gonna be behind here, and then you're gonna turn your head you're gonna turn your head down, all right? You're gonna turn your head down, and then you're gonna take the opposite hand, and then you're gonna pull down onto your head. So you kind of wanna look down and then look in the opposite direction. So from here, right hand crosses over to my back. Now I'm gonna look down to the opposite foot, and then I'm going to turn my head out slightly and then press down on it. And you should feel this deep stretch in your traps. So I would do about 60 seconds on your traps. Now for all of these stretches, you want to make sure you're not pulling excessively. You should allow your body to naturally relax and breathe into it, because if you overstretch your neck, one, they're going to be really resistant to it being stretched, and you don't want to strain your muscles from pulling it too hard. So you want to gently press down on it just to give it some assistance, and you should breathe deeply. Let's take another deep breath, guys, to celebrate the fact that we're alive. Anyways, we're back to the video. So breathe into that deeply, and then really focus on stretching out your traps. And then from here, I like to move on to the scalenes, all right? So we hit the upper traps. Now we want to hit the scalenes, which are on the side of your neck. Now to hit your scalenes, there's different angles you can attack it at. So here's a little key that I want to teach you guys, all right? So if you're sitting down on a chair, you can grab the bottom of the chair, and then here's the key, you want to externally rotate the arms, all right? So imagine, since I don't have a chair with me, I'm going to show you guys the little desk, all right? So I'm going to take my hands, I'm going to grab it here, and then I'm gonna externally rotate. So normally right here, and then externally rotate my hands. It's really important that you externally rotate the hands because your shoulders are probably already rounded forward, all right? So if they're rounded forward, you want to externally rotate them, pop your chest out, and from this position, you want to lean your head away from the shoulder, right? So imagine this ear is trying to touch this ear or this shoulder. So now in this position, you should feel a deep stretch into the scalenus muscles, all right? So breathe into that deeply. Don't pull too much. Just let your arm depress itself naturally and let your head lean forward, lean away from it. And you don't necessarily need to pull down on anything. You can do it here in midair, just leaning, keeping your nice upright posture and leaning away from it. It's just for added resistance. If you feel like you have really tense neck muscles, that's when you want to lean away from it and focus on pulling just slightly a little bit. And if you want to intensify it a little more, then you can take your hand and gently pull down and really focus on breathing. Now I'm going to teach you how to attack it from a different angle. So if you want to feel your scalenes stretch even more, all you have to do is tilt your head now to a different angle. So now you want to look up in the opposite direction. So I'm tilting to my right side, and then now I'm looking to the left corner of the room. So that can help hit different fibers, different angles of your scalenes, all right? So you want to hit all the angles. Basically, you just want to tilt, and then you want to play around with the angles until you find something really tight. Breathe into it and really focus on relaxing the shoulders and paying more attention to the side that's more tight. And then now we want to stretch out our sternocleidomastoid. So in that same position, hand pulled under, you want to make sure you rotate your head up to the other side. What you can also do is you can take your hand, you can press down and really pull down onto the neck, all right, or onto your onto the lower fibers of your SEM. So press down it, and then what I also like to do is I like to take my chin, and then I like to pull it up like that, and then really open up and breathe in the scalenes, or not the scalenes, the SEM. And that is all, guys. I want to rotate around and find the ones that is tight the most. My neck does not bother me at all. I mean, it used to, but like ever since I paid more attention to addressing my posture as a whole, the forward head kind of fixed itself, which is why I saved all of the stretches towards the end. Because honestly, if you fix from yourself from bottom up and you have a nice upright posture from doing the stretches, your head will naturally go back into that position. But with all that being said, those are all the 4 stretches to attacking your forward head, how to stretch your upper traps, your levator scapula, your scalenes, and your SEM. There was actually one more muscle that I forgot to, or one more stretch that I forgot to share with you guys. I mentioned the muscle earlier. It's the suboccipitals, and they are the muscles in the back of your head. So when these muscles, or when your head comes forward, what happens is your head tilts up as well as a way to compensate from, or not preventing your head to droop forward all the way. So what happens is your head comes forward and then it tilts up, and that will scrunch the muscles in the back of your head. And I mentioned it before, but I didn't get to tell you about the stretch. So to stretch this muscle out, you want to first make sure you keep yourself in a nice upright position. So pop your chest out, keep your shoulder blades pulled out, rotate them out a little bit as well, and then take your non-dominant hand, the crevice of the thumb and the pointer finger, you're going to put that on your chin. You're going to tuck your chin under, and then take the opposite hand on the back of your head, and then tilt down. So pull down, and you should feel a deep stretch in the suboccipitals. And the reason why you tilt down, as you might be wondering, which I did, why would you pull your head more if your head is already in forward head position? Well, technically, your head, when you're tilting down this way, yes, you're pulling your head down slightly forward, but if you think about what's going on in forward head, your cervical spine is excessively flexed and then tilted up. So that's what tightens those muscles. But when you are in an upright position, you're not as forwardly flexed, and you want to make sure you're stretching that out because that gets tight, and this helps release it. When you're doing the advanced chin tuck exercise, this will actively stretch it, which is why you don't exactly need to stretch it. But in the case that you have very tight suboccipitals, you want to make sure you implement that stretch as well. So those were the 4 or 5 stretches that I forgot to mention. So it's the upper traps, the levator scapula, the scalenes, sternocleidomastoid, and finally the suboccipitals. And then now I want to teach you how to strengthen your the muscles associated with your SCM, not SCM, your forward head posture. So basically, what happens is when your head is forward in this position for a long time, your deep cervical flexors that are kind of in the inside deeper ranges, so they're called deep cervical flexors of your neck, are weak. They're no longer able to support yourself in this upright position. So if you haven't seen my video on the advanced chin tuck exercises for forward head, you want to make sure you check that one out, because I show you guys an advanced version of how to do a chin tuck exercise to strengthen that. And another exercise you want to implement is the incline dumbbell row, right? I teach this to my clients a lot because this helps align the spine or the head, the cervical spine with the thoracic spine. It's almost like a chin tuck exercise, but with added resistance. So the way you strengthen the deep cervical flexors is, yes, by chin tuck, and you want to carry that over to all of your exercises, all of your pulling exercises, all of your pressing exercises, and basically you want to practice standing in a nice neutral position where you have your chin tucked and your head pulled back. So you want to tuck your chin and pull your head back on most of the exercises that you do, so that you're really promoting nice neutral extension of the neck, all right? You don't want too much forward head flexion going on. So with all that being said, I hope you gained some value out of this guide, the real way to fixing your forward head posture. Once again, it's Kevin with Optimize Essentials, and if you want a guide or a program that'll teach you how to set your own posture, how to eat right for your body type, and how to train correctly with proper form, you want to make sure you check out my 28-day transformation program. It is great for beginners who are having a difficult time understanding how to exercise right, how to eat right. You want to make sure you check that out. And also, you want to like, comment, subscribe if you gain some value, so that you can stay tuned, so that I can keep giving you information on how to improve your posture, on how to optimize your human biomechanics, and how to get a awesome time with the fitness journey. And share this with a friend if you found this valuable. Comment if you have any questions, send me a message. It is Kevin once again, and I am out. Peace.